Good morning, all. Welcome to the May 8th, 2025 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting. If any member of the audience wishes to speak to an item on the agenda today, there are speaker request forms to the left side of the room. Please fill out the request and hand it with the agenda number of the item you wish to speak to and hand it to the staff seated over there. At this time, we would also like to ask that if any member of the audience has a cell phone or other electronic device, that you either turn it off or turn the ringer to silent. If you need to take a call, please step out to the hall so the meeting is not disrupted. The public hearing on item number 1, the approval of the March 27th, 2025 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting minutes is hereby opened. All right, Mike Kwasny made the motion to approve. And Haven seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2.
Good morning. Item number 2 before you is a variance request to reduce the front yard setback from 25 feet to 0 feet, reduce the rear yard setback from 25 feet to 0 feet, reduce the side yard setback from 25 feet to 0 feet, and also allow for 100% lot coverage in lieu of 75% lot coverage on this property. This is located at 401 11th Street. You will know this as the Cornerstone Thrift Store. This is zoned light industrial district. Future land use of this property is mixed use commercial. And this property fronts 3 right-of-ways, all of which are not classified as either a principal arterial or a minor arterial street. 11th Street is classified as a commercial street. West Rapid Street is classified as an industrial street, and No Place is essentially just a local street. So what they are proposing to do here is they are proposing to place 5 Connex containers at a 0-foot setback within the existing donation receiving area on the north side of the thrift store. In between the Connex containers, they will place metal corrugated fencing and gates matching in color. So the purpose of this is to allow for them to remove the existing chain link fencing that exists on that property today and replace it with something that serves a dual purpose. So the Connex containers serve the purpose of giving them some more storage to kind of clean up the look and functionality of that donation receiving area, and it also serves as a better security barrier than what they get from the chain link fencing, even the chain link fencing with light colored slats that existed on the property before. In terms of the 100% lot coverage, they recently paved that donation receiving area through a grading permit. In the light industrial district, lot coverage includes buildings and paved areas, so this brought this property to 100% lot coverage. So the lot coverage request that they're making is to bring this property into compliance with the existing development that's on there today. So there is 1 Connex container that you'll see there on the left-hand side of the screen. That will be along the west property line. That one and then the 3 that front West Rapid Street will be the largest Connex containers. Those will be 8 feet by 40 feet wide or 40 feet long. The one that fronts 11th Street over here, this one is a smaller Connex container, which will be 8 feet wide by 20 feet long. So that one being along, the one that's along 11th Street being the shorter container will kind of limit some of that street view impact along 11th Street. West Rapid Street is not a heavily trafficked street beyond a lot of people are on that street because they are providing donations to the Cornerstone thrift store. So some of the criteria that we looked at with regard to this variance request is we did look at it in terms of the neighborhood character. What we found with the neighborhood character is that it is in the periphery of some commercial development. Let me go back to the So it is on the periphery of some commercial development to the north, particularly the Gateway Commercial Complex that sits northeast of this property, which was pretty meticulously developed and designed to be a very inviting, very aesthetically pleasing location right there at the corner of those major principal arterial streets of West Omaha. And so this kind of sets the tone for the aesthetics of this area. With this request, Cornerstone is trying to improve the aesthetics of their property. So currently they recognize that it is easy to see into the donation receiving area and kind of see what's going on in there. And also their chain link fence is frequently cut, which is a security hindrance for the property itself and also for the donations that are there waiting to be processed, stored, and sold at the property. So in terms of the neighborhood character, they are trying to improve the aesthetics of the property with this request. We also looked at separation between structures. That one Connex container that will sit on this west property line right here is approximately 25 feet from this nearest building over here, which this is a supply warehouse with an alleyway or a access way in between here. So it will sit about 25 feet from the nearest structure on the abutting property. We also looked at distance from right-of-way. As I said, this is fronted on 3 street sides. The one that will see the largest impact from this is West Rapid Street, which, like I stated, is a low traffic volume. So this does not appear that it would have a negative impact on how the affected streets function. We also did look at, historically, like I mentioned, there has been a chain link fence with light colored slats around this property. Currently, there is just a chain link fence with no slats. That's temporary fencing. They had to take down their old chain link fence when they paved the parking or the donation area. So that is just temporary fencing, but currently has no slats in it right now. So we did look at this would provide better screening to that donation receiving area and enhance the privacy of the property, but also enhance what the neighborhood can see as well that's happening within that area. In terms of that 100% lot coverage, we did look at drainage with that increased impervious area. There was a drainage memo that was submitted with their grading permit that brought this property to 100% lot coverage, and that memo did demonstrate that there would be no adverse impacts due to the limited or the slight increase of runoff with that extra impervious area. So one thing that we did want to point out is that in terms of reasonable use of the property does currently exist today with how they are operating it and how it has been operated before. They do have an option to potentially reduce the number of Connex containers or the size of the Connex containers to reduce the variance that they would be asking for, or just continue operating it the way that it is right now. So that is one criteria that we looked at in terms of reasonable use of the property. It currently does exist. So I'm going to show you a couple pictures of kind of what they're emulating. So this is a picture of Love Inc. This is kind of what they are trying to emulate in terms of what they want the end product of this to look like. So these longer pieces, these are the Connex containers with this corrugated metal fencing in between of that same color. This is kind of the interior of what that corrugated metal fencing in between would look like. And these, you can kind of see it kind of matches that material of those Connex containers. This is an example of what that shorter Connex container looks like, the one that would front 11th Street. And these are what those longer Connex containers look like. So those are the ones that would front West Rapid Street and also the one that would be on the west property line. And this is the interior of those Connex containers, just to kind of show you how much storage it provides for the thrift store. And again, those longer Connex containers to kind of be able to see the design of those, the exterior of them, in relation to what that corrugated metal fencing looks like as well. So this is the property as it exists today. This is looking from the parking lot of the Gateway Commercial Complex into the donation receiving area. So as you can see, they've just got a chain link fence up there right now, and you can see all the things that are going on inside of there. So their goal here would be to improve that aesthetic so that you're not able to see that view. You'll see a cohesive, streamlined, matching color. You won't see what's going on inside the donation receiving area. This is kind of the backside of that donation receiving area. This is taken from West Rapid Street. And this is that separation in between. This is that structure that would be on the west, to the west of that Connex container that would go on the west property line. So ultimately, staff did go through this. Staff is recommending approval of the variance request based on the criteria that Connex containers are accessory to this existing thrift store use, so it would not grant a land use otherwise excluded in this area, that it would enhance the aesthetics of the area, create a visual buffer to the adjacent commercial area, and be less injurious to the surrounding neighborhood than the current condition of this property. There are no site triangle issues with the placement of these Connex containers. Public Works did take a look at that, whether it would cause any site triangle issues at the intersection of West Rapid Street and 11th Street. There's no adverse impacts due to the slate runoff increase related to 100% lot coverage. So staff is recommending approval with stipulations. I would like to, Mr. Chair, if I can, add a third stipulation. We've had some concerns or some comments come from the Gateway Commercial Complex folks regarding the donations that are left after hours. So Cornerstone does currently have signage that states their operating hours and their donation hours. Those signs do state that they do not allow after hours drop-offs. Still, people do it, so things get left in the street, on the sidewalk. Sometimes it's rummaged through and, strewn out into the street and things along those lines. So there is that concern that the metal corrugated fencing in the Connex containers could potentially increase that due to the fact that they would no longer be able to push things in between the chain link fencing or potentially throw it over the chain link fencing. So we did talk with Cornerstone this morning regarding adding an additional condition to kind of put a time frame on when cleanup of those items would happen. So as a third condition, staff would, if approved, recommend adding the condition that says cleanup of any items, materials, or donations left outside of the fencing after hours shall be removed beginning at 7:30 a.m. each operating day, which does not include Sunday. And with that, I'll stand for any questions, and Cornerstone is in the audience as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Vicki?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. This was a hard one. I don't know that we've supported such a huge variance where we're going to 0 setbacks and 100% lot coverage, but we really had to take a look at the existing condition and see that right now they're using all of the property anyway. When they get done with this, those Connex boxes and the corrugated fence will really look like a privacy fence is bordering the whole property. From the outside looking in, you will not realize that that's actually a structure. It'll look just like fencing, and that's a huge improvement over where we are today. We've seen instances where people have driven up and just because it's chain link, they pitch stuff over the fence. This will stop that too, and many times those are unwanted items. Also, because these things are stored in an outdoor fashion, the weather can really impact the quality of the product when it's brought into the store for sale. So in trying to preserve the integrity of the items that are being donated, to improve the aesthetic appeal of this, we did get behind the variance 100%. And I think with the added stipulation that Lisa's staff is out there. They start at 7:30 in the morning, and the first thing they do is to get anything out of the sidewalk and get it inside the screened area. And so really for those reasons, and knowing that this really is in keeping in harmony of the zoning ordinance itself, we want the applicant to be able to use their property to the highest degree possible, and it will have little impact on the neighborhood other than improve the aesthetics.
Thank you. Mike Quasney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Couple things that I see here. There was concern they have security. They've cut into the chain link fence to get in there. I'm assuming they're getting stuff as they want or doing whatever. I guess when you put a wall up like this, you're just not going to be able to see. I could see where they might climb over the top of these conics and might create an area where now you can't see what's going on and creates other problems. That would be my concern. I think that it will definitely clean up the area, but I could see also where, for security reasons, sometimes in the past, we've wanted chain link fence so that you can see what's going on. And so I guess that would be my concern. And the other thing that's going to happen, I think that they're going to get marked up. I think they're going to be, so I would recommend that there's some paint available so that you can keep the markings off of it, because I could see this be a high area for that. And along with that, Love Inc., I'm assuming, hasn't had a lot of problems with their fencing, where that's been a concern. But those are things that I saw that going forward, I could see problems with that. So,
Vicki?
Great comment, and here's the difference. Right now, items are stored outside, people can see it, and they can cut through the fence or climb over the fence and go get it and then rummage through what else is there. In this case, they won't see it, but if they should jump over the fence, they're going to find the products locked up inside of containers. So they might only jump over once thinking, wait a minute, there's no good stuff to grab and dash with. And so even with Love Inc., that was a saving grace for them, is that they're protecting their product, and it's not visible to the public to see if it's something that they want. So I think this will even be better in that regard. Regarding the graffiti, we have a nuisance regulation. Every property owner in the city of Rapid City is responsible to remove graffiti in a timely manner if their property is marked. And while one might think paint, there's great graffiti removal out there. We use it on our city's parking structure almost every day. So yeah, they will be required to do that. We didn't need to add a stipulation, no more than say you have to shovel the sidewalk or mow the grass. It's already in the nuisance regulations.
All right. Eric Hikas?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the Love Inc. is a great example of a similar product, a similar strategy. The height of the fence in between the conics, is it 5.5 feet or 6 feet?
So the Conex containers themselves are a standard 9.5 feet tall.
Okay.
The corrugated fencing in between is 8 feet.
8. That's a pretty tough climb. I mean, considering, Mike. Although it can be done, you can jump and you can do it, right? So if they want to, right? So I think practically this is a really good solution for the visual impact that it has there. So is there security cameras in West Rapid Street in that proximity where they could see if somebody's doing graffiti?
I don't believe that the city
Okay.
has any security cameras
Okay.
in that area, but we do have a Vision Fund request
I've heard that, yeah.
to
Okay.
get more cameras in the
Right.
streets.
Well, I'll be supporting this.
Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Eric kind of got my question. That was, does the fence height exceed, the height of the connexes, and what would the street view be? It sounds like, they're multicolored connexes, charcoal yellow, and the fence color that they landed on was a yellow. Is that the only color that is available? Are there any patterns or textures to kind of break it up, make it a little more organic? The corner lot, kitty corner, has greenery, landscaping. We got trees to the north. This lot unfortunately doesn't have a bit of greenery. So I'm just kind of curious about, options aesthetically to make it a little more appealing to the curbside.
So it's my understanding, and Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, that they have purchased these containers already, and that 4 of them are the yellow color, and then 1 of them is a charcoal gray color. That will be the one that's along the west property line. So aesthetically, along the street frontages, you'll see that same yellow color.
Okay, thanks.
Vince?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So items were being left on the other side of the fence, and now, from what I understand from the explanation that was given, that those items are going to be put in these Connex units. Is that correct? Instead of just being out there on the ground, out on the other side of the fence?
So what they'll store in the Connex containers will be what's inside the donation receiving area right now. So those things that they've already processed, accepted, things that they're working on getting either onto the floor in the thrift store to be sold, or things that they collect and store for like their yard sale events that they have and things along those lines. So what would be in the Connex containers are what is currently inside the donation receiving area right now. The stuff that's left outside the fencing, I would venture that potentially some of it, if it's good stuff, they take in, otherwise they dispose of it. I do believe code enforcement helps with that some days, the PD to a certain extent, if larger things are left, or, things that should not be handled by thrift store employees. So the majority, I believe, of what is left outside the fencing after hours is disposed of.
Okay, because the reason I had that question is because I'm thinking of combustibles that go inside these containers. I mean, there's no fire prevention inside any of them whatsoever. So that's left up to the staff to determine what goes in and what doesn't go inside of these containers?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Eric Heikes?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance with staff stipulations, including the third additional stipulation.
Mr. Chair,
Is there a second for that motion? Okay.
a friendly amendment,
Okay.
if you don't mind citing the criteria that granting the variance is in harmony with the intent of the ordinance and doesn't appear to negatively impact the neighborhood.
Okay. So I'll amend via a friendly amendment that aligns with the harmonious nature of the intent, and also, what was the last part? Sorry. I'm being coached here beautifully, so.
Minimal negative impact to the neighborhood.
Okay, minimal neighborhood impact as well. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Comments, Mike Quasney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. While they're doing this, I had some additional thought that maybe the drop-off area could be designed a little, somehow have a designated area. I don't know that it's going to help, but where maybe there's a boxed-in area that might protect and maybe not make it look so rough for the neighbors. I don't know how that would work, but it might just give a little bit of thought and to see if there's an option to do something like that.
If you would identify yourself.
Lisa Allison, Executive Director, Cornerstone Rescue Mission. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. And we were visiting about that earlier today, Mr. Quasney. It's not on the plan, but we were almost thinking of where the corrugated fence would be, is moving it back to line up with the Connex boxes inside versus outside. So that would kind of give a little boxed in area where people could donate, and it would be away from the wind. People are going to donate whether we've been dealing with this for 20 some years. And so if we have a little protected area, maybe that would help, and it wouldn't be if it's windy or snowy or blizzardy or something, it's not going to be in the street as much. As much as we would love to stop people from rummaging through things that are donated after hours, we've been working with that for years, trying to get people to donate only when we're open. We've been working with that for years. And I would also like to note that we do have security cameras around the thrift store. They don't have them I don't believe the city has them in that area, but we do at our thrift store as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mike's off.
I don't think that will fix everything, but if you had that area designed, it might help. You're going to have the problem no matter what. People are going to rummage, and people might not put it in the right spot, but at least it might clean up a little bit for the neighbors to help them.
I think it would be a nice little setback, at least a nook, I guess is the best way I can think about it, just for a little bit better protection and aesthetic value.
Thank you. Alicia?
Lisa.
No,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that-
I
I'm
apologize,
sorry.
Alicia.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do plan to support the variance and have also been thinking about some solutions for your drop-off issues. I don't know how practical it would be, but I wonder if you could do anything akin to 24/7 drop-offs in parking lots where some portion of the Connex could have like a sliding component or like some sort of one-way bin or slot. That wouldn't be practical for large items, but I don't know if that would be something you could consider.
We have several drop boxes around town. We had them around town, but we've pulled them in. And we did have them in the back for people to donate bags of clothing and things like that. We can bring one of those back out. What we have found is people defecate in them, vomit in them, pee in them, so that ends up being us throwing a lot of stuff away. But we are certainly willing to put one on wheels and see what we can do and see if maybe it's just a better time to try that again.
So the motion on the floor is to approve with the 3 stipulations. I'm going to hop in with a couple comments here. This is my favorite place to donate. All my tenants left behind furniture. It's also my father-in-law's favorite place to buy used furniture. So I feel like we might be able to take a step out of the equation. But anyway, I go there quite a bit, and the sidewalk is almost non-existent just due to the traffic. And I don't think that this is the only property on that street that has that issue. But I guess I don't think there's a stipulation to add because it's already required. But I would just ask operationally, with a high 9 to 8 foot wall, please don't allow parking along the sidewalk because that is a well-walked street. Second, I just wanted to ask Todd on the drainage. Are we good with 100% lot coverage with no stormwater implements there?
Yeah, the reconstruction of 11th Street put in a 54-inch storm sewer pipe, and so they did look at the street drainage and the inlets downstream, and it can handle it pretty easily.
Okay, good deal. All right, any other comments besides mine? Okay, all those in favor of granting the variance with the stipulations, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
All right, Karen made the motion to adjourn zoning board of adjustment, so we can
Second.
move to planning. Vince seconded that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we will now commence the Planning Commission meeting for May 8th, 2025. Again, if any member of the audience wishes to speak to an item on the Planning Commission agenda, just grab a speaker request form on the table along the left wall, fill it out with the agenda number, and hand it to the staff seated over there. If you still haven't turned off your cell phones or turned them to silent, please do so now so we don't disrupt the meeting if a call comes in. Items 1 through 7 have been placed on the consent calendar today and may be approved as a group. Action will be taken on all consent items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar by any planning commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration at this time. The findings of this planning commission are recommendations to the city council. The city council will make the following make the final decision with the exception of the following items. Item 4, 25PD008, item 5, 25UR014, and item 6, 25UR015. The Rapid City Planning Commission's action on these items are final unless any party appeals that decision to the Rapid City Council. All appeals must be submitted in writing to the Department of Community Development by close of business on the 7th full calendar day following action by the Planning Commission. Are there any items 1 through 7 that staff would like removed today? Are there any items 1 through 7 that any planning commissioner would like removed for separate consideration? And are there any items 1 through 7 that any audience member would like removed from the consent calendar for separate consideration? The chair would then entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 7 in accordance with staff's recommendations.
Motion to approve items 1 through 7 in accordance with the staff stipulations. Second.
All right, Vince made the motion. Eric seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Planning Commission. Kip Harrington, Long Range Planning. Item number 8 is 25PD010, which is a major amendment to a plan development overlay to allow on-sale liquor in conjunction with a restaurant. So this property is located in the new Block 5 project, which is located at the intersection of 5th Street and St. Joseph Street. This is a really exciting project for us. This will be the first commercial tenant in the building. As you know, the hotel is now open. The apartments are under construction and are anticipated to open sometime early this summer. And the commercial portion along 6th Street is also under construction, and this will be the first tenant to occupy a suite. So this is located at 525 St. Joseph Street, suite number 1. Property is zoned Central Business District, and the future land use, whoa, that went quickly, and the future land use is public, quasi-public, seeing that this used to be a city parking lot before it was developed as the Block 5 project. Property is located at 5th Street and St. Joseph Street, which are both classified as principal arterial streets on the city's major street plan, and 6th Street is a commercial street. This is the layout of Block 5, so as you can see on the ground floor, the suite located one right here is Toastique, which is the proposed restaurant. This Toastique is a gourmet toast and juice bar, so they will serve more of a brunch type menu, be open from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. 7 days a week. And their intent is to be able to serve more mimosa type drinks along with their fresh squeezed juices that they do at the juice bar. So that is the intent of the on-sale alcohol permit. This will show some of the signage that's proposed. So at the top, you can see a close-up of the sign, and then on the lower left is the rendering of the sign above the suite itself. They do also have a pedestrian sign, which you can see up in the top left corner, so that will direct pedestrians on 6th Street to the location. This is the interior layout of Toastique, so it's got a kitchen and a bar and some seating. One thing to note in their application, they did propose a sidewalk cafe outside. When we were researching this project, we found out that back in 2012 with the President's Plaza project, 13 feet of right-of-way was vacated along 6th Street to the west of this property to allow for that President's Plaza project, which then never came to fruition. After that right-of-way was vacated, then back in 2023, Lloyd Companies, the developers of Block 5, came in and rededicated that 13 feet as a pedestrian easement. However, the language of the pedestrian easement states that there could be no type of any obstruction placed within that easement, which then would not allow them to place any sort of chairs, tables, barriers, things like that. So we are currently working internally to determine what we can do to rectify that, to allow them to get some patio space outside of that, and we'll be working with both the applicant and Lloyd Companies in the future to figure out a way if we can get that pedestrian space either vacated or altered to allow for that. So we have a couple options that we're looking at right now, and we'll bring those forward as we need to. But in the staff report, it does allow for that outdoor expansion of the on-sale liquor if and when this issue gets resolved. So again, this shows their proposed outdoor patio. That's kind of on hold right now. It does have a pedestrian clear space identified on that. And so again, this will either be located on private property if that easement is vacated, or it may be go back to public right-of-way. And those are some of the options we're still determining. And some ideas of the types of furniture and furnitures and fixtures and their barricades that they would use outside on that property. Looking at some site photos I took just the other day, you can see that this property is still under construction along 6th Street. Again, the hotel is located above, apartments above that, and this is the commercial space that is being worked on currently. This is looking at the suite directly. This is suite number 1. You can see the proposed or the sign for the plan development amendment, and then also you can barely see it here, but they do have their on-sale liquor permit sign in the window. And then this is looking to the north along 6th Street. This is the area of Tostique, and then outdoor patio would be located here. And then this is looking south along 6th Street down towards the Performing Arts Center and Rapid City High School. And then just another close-up of the area that we're looking at, the construction along the east side of 6th Street west of the property. So once again, on-sale liquor in conjunction with a restaurant, open 7 to 5 Monday through or Saturday through Sunday, and serving the mimosa-type beverages with their brunch-type menu that they have proposed for the restaurant. The applicant is in the audience, and I will stand by for any questions. One thing to note, there is also on-sale liquor in conjunction with the hotel and restaurant inside the Block 5 project. However, that is completely separate from this suite.
Thanks, Kip. Any questions on this one? Vince?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, if I could just clarify, since this picture's up, this is what I was wondering. So the gray space that's in front of where the Tostique is going, that's the area that you're talking about for open outdoor seating?
That is correct. So right now, the space between the curb and the glass there is approximately 18 feet. And this 13 feet from the curb back is right now a pedestrian easement. Or I'm sorry, the 13 feet from the glass out is a pedestrian easement. And then there's 5 feet of public right-of-way, which is the sidewalk adjacent to the curb. So the only place that outdoor seating area could go would be in that pedestrian easement, which again, the easement language states that there can be no type of any obstruction placed in that, including shrubs, benches, barricades, anything like that. So until we resolve that pedestrian easement issue, there can be no outdoor seating. And we're currently working with the applicant and Lloyd on that.
So, and just to clarify that even further for me, so even if there was, and I'm not developing it, I'm just asking a cautionary question, there would still be pedestrian right-of-way that be able to cross in front of this area. Is that correct?
Yeah, currently all 18 feet between that is considered a pedestrian easement, 5 feet adjacent to the curb as public right-of-way, which of course anybody can use. And then that 13-foot easement is dedicated for pedestrian use only. That's adjacent to the building.
Okay, thank you.
Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a great addition to the downtown area. I mean, we have a lot of places where you can go and get a sandwich, or you can go get a muffin or something in the morning. But to have a mimosa anytime during the day is a lot of people like, and I think it'll enhance the downtown. So I'm definitely in support of this motion, or this.
Definitely. All right.
I make a motion to approve in accordance with the staff stipulations.
All right, Vince made the motion, Karen seconded with the stipulations. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 9.
All right. Item number 9 before you. This is a conditional use permit that should look familiar. This is a conditional use permit request to allow an oversized garage. This item was continued from the March 27th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. So just to kind of refresh your memory a little bit, we are at 3714 Canyon Drive on property that is zoned low-density residential District 1 with a future land use of low-density neighborhood. and Canyon Drive is classified as a collector street. So what this applicant is proposing to do is to construct a 24-foot by 40-foot detached garage on their property. So some of the things that we had talked about at the last Planning Commission meeting was the idea that this garage is in front of the house. Historically, the Planning Commission has required that these oversized garages be recessed behind the house. So that is one thing that was discussed at the last Planning Commission meeting. It was also discussed that there is plans to reconstruct Canyon Drive, which will increase the right-of-way width of Canyon Drive and remove a line of existing trees that exists along Canyon Drive right now that would provide some screening of this oversized garage. So there was concern that there would be no screening once Canyon Drive is expanded. So the applicant has come back with some revisions. So they have, after hearing the discussion at the meeting and in speaking with staff, they have made a couple compromises and some concessions. So what they have done, as you can see on this site plan, they have moved the location of the garage south on the property, so it will now sit 35 feet back from the north property line, whereas before it was 25 feet back. They have also added some windows to the side elevations of the garage. That was something that was discussed as well. Previously, the side elevations were just blank walls except for that pedestrian door that you see down there. So that north elevation, that will be the elevation that is seen from Canyon Drive most prevalently. So they're adding some windows there to give a little bit of that residential character that kind of aligns more with the neighborhood and the residential aesthetic. And enhances the street view. And then the other thing that they are proposing to do, you can see on this site plan as well, is they have committed to planting a new row of trees 10 feet from the property line behind the existing trees. That 10 foot from the property line will allow for these trees to still be on the property line when Canyon Drive is reconstructed and when it is expanded. And the idea behind planting them now would be that it allows them time to mature and to grow so that that screening is still there effectively once Canyon Drive is expanded and the existing row of trees is removed. So those are the concessions that they have made in regards to this. I do want to point out, last time at Planning Commission, we also discussed that recessing this detached garage behind the house is not something that's feasible on this property. This property is on a private septic system, which is located behind the house. And additionally, the applicant indicated to me yesterday that there are also some power lines back here that would cause some concern for any sort of construction behind the house. So staff is still putting this forward to you with no recommendation. Still, if you choose or if you feel that this meets the intent of the code with regard to an oversized garage, you can approve it. I have amended the stipulations in the staff report to reflect the revised plans and the revisions that the applicant has made. So with that, I will stand for any questions, and the applicant is here today.
Thank you. I do have a speaker request from Mr. Jacob if you'd like to address us.
My name is Marty Jacob. I do own the property in question of this. I've made all the concessions that I can make. I can't put it behind the house as there's the main feed for Carriage Hills goes kind of diagonally through my backyard. I've asked Black Hills Power several times over the years to move that power line, which of course they will not do because of the cost. The reason for the garage, I know last time it was brought up, I had a shop. I had a commercial building on Center Street that I sold. I was able to store my personal items in the shop prior to selling it. There's going to be no commercial business there. I'm retired. I don't even like to check oil in a car anymore. I just need a place to put my side-by-side, and I've got an antique car I'd like to store and some things like that.
Gotcha.
So,
All right, thank you. We might call you up for questions. but
Okay.
Appreciate it. Anything from the commission? Vince?
No, I believe the applicant has made some concessions that we were asking for, and obviously the concern about what's going to be stored in there, since you had a commercial business before this, and we were concerned also about fire suppression. And was there anything added to that, to the garage at all regarding the fire suppression? Go ahead.
Chip?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fire suppression isn't required in garages,
Okay,
so it's,
that'll answer that.
Thank
So
you.
I do appreciate the applicant's time and effort to reconsider this and work with the staff on it. Thank you.
Anything else? Eric Hikas?
Mr. Jacobs, I share your frustration with overhead power. It's a pet peeve of mine. I hate overhead utility. It's always difficult. You can't plant trees under it. It's always a challenge. So I'm always a proponent of putting it underground when we can. But it sounds like you have limitations there. So you have my empathy.
Vicky?
Just a point of clarification, there are many times during the review of a conditional use permit such as this, or even a variance, we do have comments in there about having a fire protecting wall or some other material. So Vince, to your point, we do see these often, but in this case, there's no setback issue, hence we don't have the requirement. It's only if they're not meeting a separation that we can then lean on the fire design. And the city removed all of their overhead water and sewer lines years ago.
Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wondered, has there been any comments from the neighbors that they say yes or no?
I have not received any comments from neighbors, but it is my understanding that Mr. Jacobs has spoken with several of his neighbors.
Okay. I just think this is an opportunity that the city and Mr. Jacob work together to come to something that's reasonable, and so I just wanted to I would support this.
Mike Kwasny?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It sounds like everything has been pretty well taken care of, and the comment about the neighbors, that was the question that I did have, is whether the neighbors have had any comments either way. So I would make a motion to approve with all the stipulations that are necessary.
Okay. Mike made the motion. Vince seconded the motion to approve with the 3 stipulations listed. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10.
Item number 10 before you, this is another conditional use permit request that you have seen before. It's 25 UR 12, conditional use permit for an oversized garage. Just real briefly, Mr. Chair, this was pushed to this planning commission meeting at the last planning commission meeting on April 24th, so that the applicant could provide some revised elevations and things along those lines. They have requested that this be continued again to the May 22nd meeting, so that they have a little bit of additional time to put those revisions together.
Second.
22nd. Yeah.
All right. Is there a second to Haven's motion? Okay, Vince seconded that. Any discussion on the motion to continue to May 22nd? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. End of our regular agenda. Anything to add from staff?
No, this is usually one of those meetings where we say happy spring, but based on the weather that we are going to be having, it's more like happy summer. Once the election for council positions are filled, depending upon how many new members we have, we'll stand up some planning and plating 101 training sessions. And again, just a reminder, we will send an invite out for any of you who want a refresher or haven't had the opportunity to attend one of those yet, so stay tuned on that.
All right, thank you. Haven?
Thank you. I was out of town for our last meeting, but I went on the site and viewed it on the city website, I guess is what you'd call it. And I was really impressed with, I'm not sure exactly how that all works, but the sound was perfect. Everybody that spoke was very easy to understand. The camera zeroed in. If one of the commissioners was talking, it zeroed in on them. But so I just want to say it was very, very well done.
Mr. Chair, so kudos to our IT department and of course Daryl Shoemaker, our communication coordinator for the city, who runs the booth almost every meeting. They're proficient at what they do. They're attentive during the meeting. They're tracking along with what's being done even when we get distracted. So thank you for noticing.
There were close-up?
If you're talking, you're in a close-up.
Eric Heikes?
First of all, did we welcome Jeff, our new? Okay, good. Good to see you, Jeff. I've got a story. So, let's see, Yellowstone National Park, Old Faithful Visitor Center. We designed a couple, 15 years ago or so, and we had this challenge. We called it the Flush Rush. It was people waiting to watch the geyser. And a lot of people, like hundreds of people, standing around waiting, and then watch the geyser, and then everybody rushes to the visitor center to use the bathrooms, right? So there's a calculation that we use. I don't know if anybody's familiar. Kip, you might be, but it's pedestrian trip generation. It's you actually calculate and design the pedestrian way for the number of people that are going to be using it. So with 1,200 people all using it at the same time, the corridor from the geyser to the visitor center, we actually had to be 20 feet wide to accommodate all those people because they're all going at the same time. So I'm bringing this home. So 5 feet in a downtown setting may not be enough. Just saying. Our sidewalks, and as we're growing as a city now, with the number of people that are going to be moving around, crossing the street, going to anywhere downtown, we may want to consider wider than 5 feet in terms of the pedestrian dedicated corridor. So I'm just throwing that out there. As we grow, we may want to go to 8 or 10 in some areas for the clear pedway. Thanks.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Vicki.
Such an interesting comment. So primarily all of downtown has a minimum 10-foot pedestrian corridor. Only where we do allow sidewalk cafes, we had to make an exception because of course they're out on the sidewalk. And even then, when they are, at any point, the minimum clearance they can, that they must provide is 5 foot clear. So let's say that there's a parking meter or a light fixture or a fire apparatus, doesn't matter what it is. From one point of, let's say, the railing around the exterior of the outdoor activity to that apparatus has to be 5 foot clear, but those are minimal in area. We do have a couple in town that aren't providing the 5 feet. It seems like we get them to pull it back and then it just inches its way back out again. So we'll keep working on those.
Mike Kwasny?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I want to finish up Eric's story there. I didn't hear the true end. Did you help design how many restrooms were going to be at this site? If you got that much sidewalk going to them, I mean.
Alicia?
Oh, just I feel like I understand the wideness for big events, but also, you know, Paris makes old cities with millions of people have, you know, sometimes the seating's facing the cafe instead of facing each other, so it provides kind of like more buffer room for service, and I feel like people are happy to see it like activated with plants, and you know, so maybe the bustle will feel kind of nice with the certain areas of you know, traffic. pedestrian traffic. That'd be cool.
All right. Anything else from the commission? Okay, Mike Collier made the motion to adjourn. Vince seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.